IIM Amritsar presents Yukti 2020 Annual HR Conclave.
This is a student-driven initiative. I don't want the panelists to think that this is done by the director or the administrators. Our student affairs chairs act as mentors or guides, but most of the initiatives, almost all of the initiatives are taken by our students. See, we are a business school. In a business school, without interaction with the industry, business education is not complete. From that point of view, various events that we hold, starting now, all the way through the next 2 years for the incoming batch and next 1 year for the outgoing batch, gives them a holistic education in terms of bridging the gap between academia and practice. We are extremely honored to have distinguished guests for today's event who have made a mark for themselves in the industry, in the field. I hope that our students will learn a lot from you when you share your ideas, experiences, and your thoughts with them. Thank you very much.
So we have Dr. Ankita Singh, who is SVP and Global Head HR for Signex Data Matrix. We have Mr. Kishore S., who is Head of Talent Acquisition for Petrochemical Group. We have Mr. Naga Siddharth, who is Head People and Culture for SuprDaily. And then we have Meenalochani Kumar. She is Head of Global Leadership Development for Sutherland. So I would once again welcome all of you. And yours truly is Abhinav, and I take care of HR at CF Specialty Tyres Limited. So I once again welcome all of you to this entire panel discussion. Now request Naga to please come on the center stage and take us through his point of views toward this topic, please.
I think the future is all about, n is equal to 1. Now, what does n is equal to 1 mean? It basically means, hey, you might have stripes of a certain brand, and you might have the great, things to go with it. But what really matters, and something that I have seen over the last 3 years while working with CEOs of different kinds of companies, because I work as an executive coach as a passion. So one of the things I look for in their top hires is something which I would term as authentic originality, right? They want human beings who come and play a role in the organizations. They are not looking at hobbies, painting, stamp collecting, watching TV, right? So they are not looking at folks who do that. They are looking at individuals who have a deep interest in life, in doing something that kind of defines them as individuals and probably helps them have a very unique point of view. For example, if someone is hiring a person in sales, in typical B2C high value sales, they're looking at people who can hold their space and hold a conversation with the customer, which is way beyond just about the sale that's underway.
Kishore, I'll request you to please take the center stage and help us with your thoughts and share your views on the same thing.
One important competency that we wanted to highlight here is, do you feel addicted to a technology or do you embrace the technology? So I remember recently in an interview process, we wanted a CA qualified guy to write a basic journal entry. He was a tech savvy. He was in and out of SAP, but he couldn't write a journal entry. So this shows us that the key competency to stick your basics, master your basics, and then build upon that is very, very important for the future.
One of the things that will not change is our human-centric behavior or human leadership, right? So despite machines coming in, despite data flowing in, despite artificial intelligence and all the sense making that we do, there are two things that are emerging, and they are emerging very, very quietly without even us realizing it. One is, bioempathy. And when we say bioempathy, this is all about, us starting to reflect, hitting the pause button, observing nature and learning a lot from nature. And that's what has happened, in the current scenario, right? I mean, we've hit the pause button. We have started taking moments to reflect, and leaders have sat back after a very long time to say, how else can I look at my business model?
So what COVID has actually taught the world is something called caring before curing. Organizations have learned to start caring for people, because people being people are intelligent human beings. Talk about stuff like business continuity planning. At SuprDaily, we are 10,000 plus human beings who deliver milk to lakhs of households in India, even during the lockdown. So many of our delivery executives got a danda from police for no fault of theirs, right? And our team leaders are even today waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going out there, ensuring groceries goes out to people. I mean, we work really hard so that people can stay safe. What is our big learning? This generation is different from the previous generation, right? If you care for people, and I'm not saying, it wouldn't have worked earlier. Probably we didn't realize it early enough. But now this generation is so good. This generation is so good. You just care, you give the guidelines, and trust me, they will surprise you. Right? So one of the things organizations have got to learn to do is let go and learn how to care for people rather than constantly try and cure people.
Do you really think there is this kind of a FOMO, or there's this thing of, whether I'm relevant in the organization or not? And B, what are the different competencies which you think are now going to be required if we have to work from home for next 1 year or so? So your thought on that, Ankita?
Yeah, so I think a very valid question, Abhinav. And this is the time, probably a forced one, but this is the time for self-realization. If I talk about individuals or I talk about organizations, we all literally took a pause just to understand what we are good at, how I will deal with this situation, for how long I'm going to be in this situation, and how I will handle if at all I'm called to work, or if at all I am asked to work from home. So if at all you think that you exist in that job, you are able to add value to the job in the same manner, you are able to contribute and add, whatever part was required from your end, you still exist. And work from home or work from office actually doesn't matter. We used to talk earlier, work from home. If at all I take these three words, the only important word is work. From home or from internet, from laptop, from some other place or planet, doesn't matter at all as far as you're able to give back to the organization in the expected manner.
You should not quote any of your employee benefits as privileges, because work from home is once which was sounded like a privilege few months back. Now it is a basic need. So you have a lot of controls that is out of your control. So where you have these employee initiatives where you comfort the employee, and also where you create a system where the deliverables can come. So you may call it as a privilege, but your competitor will call it as a basic offer for the job. So you see whether it helps your business, it helps your employee, there is a connect between these two, then definitely the employer brand will be alive.
Definition of VUCA itself has changed in the COVID world. And it says, that VUCA now stands for vulnerability. That all of us are now vulnerable. Our jobs will stay, our jobs will not stay, what is going to be there. Then U stands for unprecedented, because we never know what is going to come across our way. Are we going to work from home? Is the lockdown going to increase? So we really do not know. Then they said, that C also stands for contradiction, because there's a lot of contradiction now. What do we do? Should we focus on the current state of our business? Should we go for future? The planning, which used to be yearly, has come down to half yearly, now quarter. Now we are doing monthly planning. And then the definition said A stands for anxiety, right? Everyone is anxious about their performance. There's FOMO. Everyone wants to be fair. So So the entire definition of VUCA has also changed. And I thank all the panelists. I thank everybody in this entire meeting. Thank you very, very much for joining.
IIM Amritsar presents Yukti 2020 Annual HR Conclave.
So I'm going to start with just a teaser around the topic, and maybe start with Suchi to just say, what does well-being mean to you personally?
Well-being is actually a way of life, right? And as a result, I say that it's a very personal thing, because what I feel is, if my experiences, right, the way I have dealt with it in our generation, Arun, you will appreciate the sensitization that we have today was not there. So as a result, many times you have actually gone through situations based on your personal experiences and what is it that you could do better. And my goal in life today is, in my role, if I can make that a journey for others, because there'll be so many other people like you and me, or a lot of us, right? How do you make that a common mission for the organization or the community at large is what well-being means to me.
Would you like to kind of share one or two, let's say, the most significant impact that, let's say, the fallouts of COVID has had on your organization and for your employees in particular?
This is not only about the financial, but also the emotional, mental, physical well-being of our employees. And this pandemic hit the country or the globe. It also affected the well-being of our employees. We are a manufacturing organization. And as a manufacturing organization, you may be aware that, during the lockdown, even the operations were closed for more than a month. And I'm sure this must be a story for other organizations also. And as a manufacturing organization or any business has a fixed cost as well as the variable cost. Variable cost is there only when the operations are on, but the fixed cost continues. And because of non-operations, it seriously impacted the cash flow of the organization. It seriously impacted some of the fixed cost component for the organization.
Deepa, you wanted to cover something around how Tata Steel, let's say, empowers the community through employees?
Thanks, Arun. I'd just like to share with you some practices that we follow. When this pandemic came about, there was a lot of, as you know, a lot of employees were at home. And it's a stressful situation to be in, and you really have kind of, you're restricted. The boundaries are very restricted. You can't go physically, you're restricted. So that in order to take the people out of that mode, we offered a lot of programs to our employees for volunteerism online. And many of our employees actually volunteered for various things. Some of the things I'll share with you. One of the things that happened it was a very popular program. It was called Farishta, and it is a play on words. It is Far Rishta. So we said that you can actually counsel children from various residential schools which are there in the city, because the schools are not working anymore and the children are there. So we all connected to these children over our mobile phones through WhatsApp video calls, etc. We had career counseling sessions with them. We had storytelling sessions with them.
How is PepsiCo addressing fear around jobs, around economic impact? And I know it's a very fine line between not over-promising and not driving a wave of fear across the organization. So I want to ask you and others how, if at all, your organization is messaging difficult news, right? How is that getting projected in the organization?
Authenticity and honesty is something that is most acceptable to people at this stage, and that is what helps build trust the most, specifically in a crisis situation. And I think those are the things that we have followed through this. That would be the first thing that I would say. Trying to share information as much as is available and as much as can be shared, we do share that. If I look at our own organization in different parts of the world, if I look at the US and if I look at our snacks business there, it has done exceedingly well. If I look at the Middle East, and if I look at some of the other markets, actually most of the markets, e-commerce as a business has done really well. Similarly, there are success stories also to share at the same time. There are parts of the organization which are not doing well or which may be challenged because of the pandemic, but equally, like we were saying earlier, there are silver linings, there are green shoots. And I think what we've done well, apart from the first thing which I mentioned, which is being authentic and honest, is sharing success stories.
Let's say one big unaddressed challenge that you see around well-being, and one well-being secret of yours that you want to share with others.
Arun, we'll start with you this time.
I think the one big unaddressed one is mental well-being. We are just touching the tip of the iceberg. And my hack is I have set myself a COVID well-being goal, which is possibly to become lighter, but without, and being a faster marathon runner after the pandemic than I was before, right? And I'm using a hack called habit stacking, which I read from a book called Atomic Habits. So that would be my 2 cents. I'm going to throw it open to all of you now. Dr. Santosh, one secret of yours. What do you do to improve your well-being?
I always focus in circle of influence and not in circle of concern.
See if you can get hold of this book called The Happiness Advantage by Sean Accord. Okay. Now, this gentleman has done a significant amount of research, right, in terms of how does your brain really function when you're happy, okay, and how does actually that contribute towards your well-being. So what I learned from that book and that I try and implement every day is that what you accomplish or not accomplish is not who you are, right? It's a very powerful thing to keep in mind. And as a result, what's also important and that I do is to actually give compliment to one person, right? Every day, I actually find one compliment to pay to my team members or to my family members, one compliment. And I try and do that for 21 days, right? Because what your research says is when you do that, it actually creates happiness. When you do it for 21 to 28 days, it actually changes your neural network in the brain. And I do it very selfishly, okay? It's not an altruistic motive, because what I believe, if I am able to do it for somebody else, maybe it will encourage them to say something positive about me. That actually creates a lot of happiness quotient in me too.
Thank you, all the fellow panelists.
It gives me immense pleasure to render the vote of thanks for the 5th HR Conclave of IIM Amritsar, Yukti 2020. This year is special because we are trying everything anew with the same vigor and zeal, but in a very unconventional format. This seamless digital transformation was only possible because of the visionary leadership of our director, Professor R. Nagarajan. After spending 29 years in America, he decided to return back to India to join IIM Amritsar as our director. I also extend my heartfelt gratitude to the corporate doyens from the HR fraternity who came from such varied backgrounds and spent time from their busy schedule to be with us for this 2-day-long HR summit. Well, all around the year, IIM Amritsar organizes such conclaves, CEO speaker series, and leadership webinars, which gives our students a chance to experience that what goes inside the classroom also gets implemented in the corporate space. The Institute has successfully hosted some of the best companies for campus recruitment year on year, like ICICI Lombard, Cipla, RBI, Nielsen, L&T, and the Big Four accounting firms, just to name the few. Our students have profoundly made their mark in some of the top national corporate competitions, like the OnePlus ET Prime Intellect, Tata Crucible Campus Quiz, and Yes Bank Transformation Series, to just name a few. Next year, we are coming up with 2 more specialized MBA programs, one in the area of analytics and the other in the field of human resources. Very soon, in the next year, we also would be launching our executive MBA program in a hybrid mode, which will be a 2 years full-time executive MBA program. With such a strong industry liaison, coupled with the diverse talent pool, strong leadership, and exceedingly competent faculty, These are the reasons why IIM Amritsar is the fastest growing IIMs, carving a niche spot for itself in the corporate space.
IIM Amritsar presents Yukti 2020 Annual HR Conclave. Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.